Tariro Chapter 6, Forgotten Child. Months passed slowly in Zivhu village, and with each passing day Tariro became weaker. The cheerful child who once filled the Moyo homestead with laughter had almost disappeared completely. Her cheeks had grown thin, her eyes looked tired all the time, and her clothes now hung loosely from her small body. Even her skin had lost its healthy glow. The villagers began noticing more and more. Every morning before sunrise, people saw Tariro walking alone carrying heavy water buckets almost bigger than herself. During the afternoons she worked endlessly in the fields beneath the burning sun while other children her age attended school. At night she washed dishes long after the rest of the family had gone to bed. Some villagers whispered quietly among themselves whenever they saw her. "That child is suffering. She looks sick. But why does nobody help her?" Fear kept many silent. Joram had become powerful in the area after taking over Tendai's businesses. He donated money at church, helped local leaders, and acted like a respectable man in public. To outsiders, he appeared caring and responsible. Only behind closed doors did his cruelty show. One cold morning Tariro woke with severe body pains. Her head felt heavy, and her stomach twisted painfully from hunger and exhaustion. She struggled to stand from the thin mattress inside the storage room. Before she could gather herself properly, loud banging shook the door. "Tariro!" Lucia shouted. "Why are you still sleeping?" The girl opened the door slowly. I do not feel well." Lucia rolled her eyes. "You think sickness will stop work in this house?" Tariro lowered her gaze quietly. Within minutes she was already outside sweeping the yard while dizziness clouded her vision. The broom felt heavy in her weak hands. At one point she suddenly stumbled and nearly fell. Lucia noticed immediately. "Stop pretending." "I am trying, am I?" "Then try harder." That afternoon Lucia sent her to the grinding mill carrying a sack of maize meal almost too heavy for her to lift. As Tariro struggled along the dusty road, several villagers stared at her with concern. An elderly woman finally approached gently. "Mwana wa Tendai, are you all right?" Tariro forced a weak smile. "Yes, go." But the old woman could clearly see the truth. The child's lips looked dry. Her arms were painfully thin. Even her eyes carried sadness far beyond her age. "You have become so small," the woman whispered sadly. Before Tariro could answer, Lucia's voice suddenly echoed from behind. "Tariro! Why are you standing there gossiping?" The frightened child quickly continued walking. The old woman watched her disappear down the road while deep worry filled her heart. Inside the Moyo house, Lucia's children continued living comfortably. Every morning they wore clean uniforms and polished shoes before leaving for school laughing happily together. Sometimes they deliberately mocked Tariro before leaving. "Maybe if you worked faster, Auntie would feed you better," Nyasha sneered one morning. Another cousin laughed loudly. "She is too dirty for school anyway." The children walked away laughing while Tariro silently washed dishes nearby. Each insult hurt deeply, but she had learned to keep quiet. Crying only made Lucia angrier. One afternoon while cleaning the sitting room, Tariro noticed her old schoolbooks stacked carelessly inside a box near the corner. Her heart tightened painfully. Slowly she picked one up and opened it. The smell of old pages immediately brought memories rushing back. Classrooms. Lessons. Dreams. For a brief moment, she forgot her suffering and quietly began reading. Suddenly Lucia entered the room. "What are you doing?" Tariro quickly stood up. "I was only looking at my books." Lucia snatched the book violently from her hands. "You still think education matters for someone like you?" Before Tariro could answer, Lucia threw the books into a sack together with old newspapers and rubbish. "These useless things are taking up space." Tariro stared in horror. Please, those were Baba's gifts to me." Lucia's face hardened instantly. "Your father is dead." The words struck like a knife. That evening Tariro secretly searched through the rubbish sack after everyone slept. She managed to recover one torn English book hidden beneath dirty papers. Holding it tightly against her chest, she returned quietly to the storage room. Late into the night she read beneath weak candlelight while cold wind entered through cracks in the walls. Reading reminded her that she was still human. That somewhere deep inside her, the dreams her father planted were still alive. But outside that tiny room, the world continued forgetting her. Days later, several churchwomen visited the Moyo homestead unexpectedly. Lucia immediately changed her behavior. "Tariro, come greet your aunties properly," she said sweetly. The women smiled warmly at the child, but shock quickly crossed their faces when they saw how thin she had become. One woman touched Tariro's arm gently. "Ah, Mwana, are they feeding you properly?" Before Tariro could speak, Lucia laughed quickly. "She refuses to eat sometimes because she still misses her parents." The women nodded sadly, though doubt remained visible in their eyes. As they prepared to leave, one of them secretly slipped Tariro a small piece of bread. "Eat this later," she whispered kindly. For the first time in many months, someone had shown her genuine kindness. That night, alone inside the storage room, Tariro slowly ate the bread while tears rolled silently down her cheeks. The small act of kindness touched her heart deeply, because in a world where she was slowly becoming invisible, someone had finally remembered she was still just a child.